There's been a lot of news headlines around the world highlighting the developments of electric buses in Kenya. And here at the UITP summit in Barcelona, there were over 40 zero-emission buses on show, electric, hydrogen fuel cell. So as a bus operator, what would be some of the key challenges you would face to adopt those technologies?
For us in Kenya, the first thing we'll do is the cost of the bus. That already the cost of the bus is 2 to 3 times the cost of a fossil fuel vehicle. So that becomes a big challenge. So it would mean that if we get the bus, we must get either affordable financing or we should be able to get some subsidy when we are operating. Otherwise, what we have noticed here is most of the operations in Europe are funded by the taxpayer, by municipalities or cities that are operating those buses. So the private sector, as it is in Kenya, is not the one that is taking the risk. The other reason that would be a barrier is the technology itself. We are not yet sure we can understand the technology itself, but of course that can be addressed within time. But again, to take that risk initially becomes a challenge. The other issue we are looking at is the issue of the bus itself and the infrastructure on which it's going to operate and the charging infrastructure. So when we look at the total infrastructure, if you are going to have 50 buses and you're putting them in the depot, how do you roll out the charging infrastructure to ensure that the infrastructure is able to support a situation where the fuel that we are using, that is the energy we are using, is random, it is not stable, and you are not sure whether you're going to install generators for you to be able to operate that bus in case the grid energy is not coming through. We still have the very high cost of energy itself. We've been talking to the electricity company Kenya Power to see if they can give us different rates. I think they are responding, if I can, but they have not yet rolled out. So that issue of the energy cost will still have to be addressed. Looking at the components, especially, for example, the weight of the vehicle in terms of the weight of the batteries, we know that you will need special tires for you to be able to withstand that weight. But other operators have been asking that, for example, one of the companies are saying they will lease the vehicle to you and pay as you go. So they will retain the battery and the motors, but sell you the vehicle at almost the cost of the current diesel vehicle of similar. So our question is, what is the residue value? We are used to, when the vehicle gets old, you want to sell that vehicle to another person to continue, maybe a school, to continue operating. So we haven't known exactly what we will do with the vehicle. And even if the vehicle didn't operate properly, we don't know how you will dispose of the battery itself. Would you just throw it away? Is there a mechanism in which it will be? So all these things are things that we will require support, will require understanding, will require benchmarking for us to see where it is operating as we pick and start adopting the technology. It is important also to mention that for us in Nairobi, being the headquarters of UNEP and Habitat, it is really in our interest to go electric. But the questions that we have had is that, do we go clean energy or do we go electric? Are we able to go with the Euro 6 or are we able to go with the CNG? Of course, we have seen here vehicles that are hydrogen, which is another class altogether. We have seen even one that is autonomous. So there are technologies that are coming in that we'll need to adopt, but there is still time for us to look at those things, and we would like the manufacturers of electric vehicles, yes, to come and give support I understand the cost of batteries is starting to come down, but to come and give us confidence that yes, you can invest before we do the investment.
Brilliant, thank you. And as a bus operator now, with new electric buses, there's an infrastructure consideration around charging. As a bus operator today, is there any infrastructure that you have to have in place to run your current service, or is that a completely new learning and business case?
This is going to be a new learning, and you realize that infrastructure is going to have its own cost. Where you have the infrastructure, probably we'll have to retrofit the depots that we have with the charging infrastructure and the standby generators to assist that, which is another cost altogether. So the infrastructure for charging will still be limited to the corridors, which means the vehicle cannot leave the corridor or has got to go back to the depot for charging. The current vehicles in Nairobi, we are aware that the battery cannot last the whole day, which means that at some point of the day, you have to take your vehicle back for charging. We believe in bus operation that buses make money when they turn wheels. Now, when they're not turning wheels at the time you want them to turn wheels, then those are trips and revenue lost. So we would be watching out to see exactly what happens.
Amazing.